Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, The Fett, and I'm here for another weekly recap, okay? So, want to get into this real quick. The NBA, okay? Boogie Cousins looks dominant. I mean, the goal we knew Golden State before was going to be good. This year, personally, at 36-14 right now, I thought they'd have less losses, but we've seen the injury bug kind of stick it to Golden State early in the season. But they still lead the West. They have an 11-game winning streak, 10-0 in their last 10. I mean, they're just on fire. They've got Boogie Cousins back, and the ship looks like it's smooth sail ahead. I mean, I just don't understand how anybody is going to stop them. Sure, it's midseason All-Star break. They look great, but does anybody really want to match up with that starting five? Okay, do you really want to have to cover Seth at the one, Clay at the two, KD at the three, Draymond at the four, and Boogie at the five? Is there another starting lineup in the NBA that shares that front court or the starting five? What about front courts? Is there arguably a better front court than Draymond Green and Boogie Cousins? I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, you got Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin in Detroit, not doing anything for me." I guess I I really am struggling to put together a front court matchup as dominant. And when I say dominant, I mean, you know, Draymond Green playing the four, gets a rebound, outlet passes it, and it's just smooth, fast tempo all the way down, spot up three or transition dunk. I mean, Golden State is doing it. So, my question to you is if you're listening to this, I would like you guys to post a front court you think that is better than Draymond Green at the four and Boogie Cousins at the five. Okay, next topic I want to talk about real quick is the Suns. Currently 11-42 with a 208 winning percentage. They're 1-9 in their last 10 with a 9-game losing streak. How many years we got to watch this? Okay, the Suns, they probably haven't been on a glory run since the Amari Stoudemire, Steve Nash days. But seriously, how many times do you get the tank before there's a problem and the NBA needs to step in? These guys been floating around the top pick for last 4 or 5 years. I know in other sports there's anti-tanking rules, and I wouldn't expect the NBA to be any different. This is before I do any research into it tonight. So on my follow-up of next week's weekly thing, I'll talk about the Suns and what type of rules they could be breaking. But right now I'm looking at the Suns. You know, they got DeAndre Ayton, they got Devin Booker, and they've had how many top picks in the last 4 years? So my question is, do you guys think that the Suns are tanking, and is it purposeful at this point? Because personally, I feel it's purposeful. I mean, I don't know how you could suck as a franchise. I guess as a Cavs fan, before LeBron came, I could understand because we had a rough time. We literally, I think I checked the numbers earlier in the year. It was like 8 winning seasons before LeBron, and then it jumped up to 16 with an NBA title, a couple Eastern Conference crowns. I mean, before I never thought about these things. You know what I mean? As a franchise, looking at it as a franchise, because the common fan does not look at it from a franchise standpoint. Sure, you're a fan of a team, you think you know that team, and you know their existence from when you're mentally conscious of paying attention. We're say, 7, 8 years old, all the way until you grow old. So, but for most people, they look at the roster, the coach. There's very little people that dive into the salary cap as well as the management team, which is crucial to a team. So, all that being said, the Suns, I know they've had a couple general managers, a couple coaches. I know they move a lot of their players around. I mean, they just signed Trevor Ariza to a 1-year deal, and then boom, he gets shipped off to Washington. So, all things aside, I'm trying to figure out if this is a purposeful tank or if this franchise is just cursed. The Cavs, let's talk about them. They're 11-41, not much better than the Suns, with a 212 winning percentage, 2-7 in their last. My bad. Let me change that. They are now on a 2-game winning streak. Let me correct that. They are 3-7 in their last 10. Cavs, I can't argue. Chetty last night looked great. They beat the Wizards, which they suck. both teams. I expect Bradley Beal, John Wall, possibly Dwight Howard, all to be traded before the deadline because that is about to be the next massive rebuild in the East. All-Star break's approaching. January 31st, the reserves will be announced. The captain's draft, February 7th, and then All-Star weekend is February 15th through the 17th. Personally, I think, as you heard me talk about with the SkiveWalker, pretty much I'm done with All-Star games because they don't mean anything anymore. It's no longer the highest competition between the best players at the time. It's turned into, you got your NFL. You got guys that decline, they take the fine. Same thing with hockey. They decline to go to the game, they get fined or suspended. Basketball is the only one I've really seen, unless it's injury pressing, they usually play in. But I mean, then again, you're scoring almost 200 points in the game. They're jacking up threes. No one's playing defense. I mean, at all. They're not even getting in a stance. They're just like matched up man. And it's either shake or go for a three or a transition dunk. So I am not about the All-Star weekend, but I am about one thing, and that's the Rising Star Challenge. Donovan Mitchell versus Luka Doncic. The USA versus the world. I will be paying attention because this is the future of our NBA. So if you're like me, a big fantasy nerd, big stat guy, or you just want to see what's going to happen with the future of the NBA, please watch this game. Now that's my recap of the NBA. Let's move along. I got a couple notes here for college basketball. Tennessee, still number one. Very, very surprised Tennessee is number one. I'm surprised at the season they've had. Maybe I'm not giving them enough respect, but I am paying close attention to you, Vols. Okay? Maryland, ranked 21st. They had a rough couple games. They lost 2 games in a row. They were as high as 13th in the rankings. They finally came in this week at 21, and they started the week off right. They actually got a W against Northwestern. They had a red out, and they end the 2-game losing streak. Moving on, college football. There's only one thing I want to make a comment on, and that is McCoy's early commit, all right? So we had a 5-star recruit. He commits to USC, all right? He enrolls early, and he enters the transfer portal. This is my problem with the transfer portal, okay? You can't give these kids free reign just to pack up and leave whenever they want, all right? There used to be a set of rules and guidelines. It used to be you transfer somewhere, you sit out a year. What happened to that? I don't really like what it's turned into with the transfer portal. I like the ability you have to transfer or stay put, even though I think that if you entered the transfer portal, that would rub the coach or send the coach a bad sign for you're leaving pretty much. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. But in this case, this kid is a 5-star recruit. Early enrollment. What's he do? He transfers, enters the portal. He's going to Texas. The Longhorns add another huge recruit. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the transfer portal. I would say I'm 60-40 on it, for or against, because there's still a lot of precautions, letting kids transfer in the same year and having eligibility. It just scares me for the future of college football. But that's a separate talk, separate podcast. I actually want to bring that up with the Skive, see what he has to say. NFL real quick. I got the Pats 31-20 over the Rams in the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say on it because I'm tired of the controversy. I'm tired of hearing about Tom Brady, blah, blah, blah. Yes, he gets his 6th ring, blah, blah, blah. Everybody thinks he's great. That's great. Ravens. There was an article I read the other day that said he said free agents will want to play with Lamar Jackson. So Harbaugh gets a contract. Lamar Jackson saves his job, goes 6-2 in the 8-game absence of Joe Flacco. And now Harbaugh makes a comment like this. Free agents will want to play with Lamar Jackson. You guys want to know who on Pro Football Focus, the only 3 wide receivers in the top 50, who they were? Cole Beasley, Tyrell Williams, and Golden Tate. I don't want any of those guys wearing purple next year. No offense. Tyrell Williams is hot and cold, and Cole Beasley has been nothing but a poor man's Julian Edelman in the slot for fantasy purposes, per se. Golden Tate is the only one I think I would really be more open to, I guess, coming and joining the team, though I just don't know how good he would fit in our system. Naturally, I think he's an upgrade over somebody like John Brown, but there's just too many drops in the Ravens' current wide receiver course to take this serious. So I would like to see them move that way in the draft. But that is going to come up in a later podcast. Just thought I'd give you guys a rundown on what's going on there. And my final topic, the NHL, got the post All-Star. Let's just recognize and respect Sidney Crosby 4-goal game in the All-Star game. All right. This goes back to what I'm saying about All-Star games. People don't try hard. They don't play defense. Sidney Crosby is a beast. He is still the best player in the NHL. Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid are catching him, but then again, Sid's in his early 30s. So we all knew it was going to happen, especially since this kid's been playing since he's, 18, 19 in the league? I mean, come on. That's an impressive run of over a decade of being the best player in the league. I guess if he continues to put numbers up like he does, I mean, we're never going to see him. No one's ever going to touch Gretzky. No one's ever going to touch some of these old school players and these numbers. It's just the game's evolved too much. I think there's too much talent, too much speed for anyone to get close to those numbers. So, Sid, you're a monster. I love my Penguins. They are 26-17, fourth placed in the Metropolitan, 58 points. They are 5 points out of first place. And that brings me to my next point as they play against Tampa Bay next, okay? Tampa Bay right now, after half the season, is 37-10. They lead the NHL with 76 points. They are a true number one seed. Are they a fluke or contender? Because we see this almost year in, year out. These guys, they destroy the East. They run through it. They're a top 3 seed, and then they choke in the playoffs. But I think this year they might actually have some magic staying healthy. But we all know it runs through the Capitals and the Penguins in the East and whoever wins the Metropolitan. So that's what I'm thinking about there. There is a side note. I wanted to add a cool thing I read. I think you guys will enjoy this. Brianna Decker is a female U.S. hockey player. Okay, she goes to the All-Star game. What's she do? She shows up all 8 NHL players in the passing drill. Has a faster time than the fastest NHL guy. Take that in for a second. A female. Okay, we're men. We're supposed to be bigger, faster, stronger, and all this crap. And here comes this, this female hockey player, and she destroys the pros. So I give kudos to her. I hope all the little girls that play hockey or like sports saw that, because that's pretty cool. You don't really get a chance to compare men and women as much anymore due to our physical and biological differences. Especially at the pro athlete level, there's not many chances we get to see them square off. And this was one. So I thought it was pretty cool. They're also going to give her a cool 25 Gs. So that's also to add. My final NHL note today is going to be that the trades are piling up. The latest was the Kings traded Muzzin to the Leafs, his childhood favorite team. Thought that was pretty cool. But the Leafs continue to stack up, getting ready for the playoffs. Personally, as a Penguins fan, I don't like seeing this. We also made a move as we acquired a 4th-round pick as we sent Dallas, one of our defensive men. Not really worthy, though, as he was 3rd, 4th line. But for the most part, the Penguins looked primed to make a move. They have acquired some draft picks, made some deals with the Ducks, but pretty quiet on acquiring acquiring that next player like they do almost every trade deadline. So basically that was my weekly recap. I know me and Sky have got some plans to get together, do a couple more this weekend, hopefully. The Midwest is about to get frozen, so I hope you guys stay safe, and I hope you stay warm. And for the Fett, peace out there, everybody.